that voice that tells you that you're worthless, that voice that tells you that you're not good enough, that voice that criticizes everything that you do has been put there by someone else. So welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Paul. I've just poured myself a new brew. As you can see, the steam is coming off it, so I'm not going to test that just yet. But essentially, this here is going to be me answering questions. And the last one went down quite well. I had a lot of feedback on Facebook in particular, so I've started to go through a lot of these questions that I've got in front of me, and I'm going to start answering them. So essentially, I'm just going to dive in. I want this video to be a little bit shorter than the last one, so let's talk, jump straight into the questions. So Courtney says, when you're feeling your worst, what do you do to try and boost yourself back up? I'm really struggling at the moment. So there's lots of things. I've spoken about coping strategies before, and actually I don't really like the word coping strategies anymore. Someone made it clear on an interview the other day that coping's quite a negative word, but essentially things that I do that make me feel good. So I went for a run this morning, and before I went for that run I was feeling quite down. Not down, but my mind was on overdrive, and essentially just taking that half an hour out to go for a run makes me feel a lot better. So exercise helps me, making sure my nutrition's good, journaling, meditation, spending time with family. I've got a list of strategies that I use that I can then utilize if I'm feeling down. But at the same time, what I truly believe helps me a lot is not judging myself. So if you are struggling, when you're trying to boost yourself back up, we have huge expectations of ourselves and we judge ourselves because of it. And when we're judging ourselves, when we have these expectations of ourselves, what does it do? It just simply puts us more into a negative spiral. So I found that the less judgment that I give myself, the less expectations I have around me feeling better, the better it is. So that's the biggest takeaways. Do not judge yourself. Don't set such high expectations, and focus on the small wins. Man flu. Lindsay says, how can you help friends going through a tough time? I tell them I'm there for them. I buy the odd little present to cheer them up, spend time with them. I want to do more, just don't really know what else I can do. I know it's up to them to help themselves, but I just want to wave a wand and make it go away. Again, every time I do a speech or I do a workshop or I do a video, I normally get this question, and essentially it comes down to, as you said, Lindsay, you can't control their recovery, you can't make them better, and sometimes when we love that person, that's all we want to do. And again, this is just from personal experience. I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a therapist, but the lady that helped me massively, again, she wasn't a counsellor, she wasn't a therapist, but what she did was just show compassion. She showed that understanding, and at the same time, she didn't try and change my mind. She didn't try and force me to live or do certain things. She guided me along the way. So essentially what she did really, really well was show compassion. She showed understanding. I could relate to her, so I felt safe to open up to her. But at the same time, she allowed me to find the answers. So she kind of guided me on the way. So again, Lindsay, it's not an easy answer to give because everyone is completely different. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to someone struggling with mental health. But essentially, it sounds like you're doing the right thing already. You're being there for them. You're buying them the odd little present. You're trying to cheer them up. I would just say you can only do so much, but make sure you focus on yourself as well. Such a hard question. How do you stay positive and upbeat when you're going through some of the hardest times in your life? Very similar to the first question, but the other thing that I would add to that was from Laura, is perspective and gratitude. So again, perspective for me is so important, because if we don't put things into perspective, we can end up beating ourselves up and we fall very quickly into that victim mindset. So I think about like my dad's scenario, so losing my dad to suicide. It was horrible, and I spent 2-3 years in that real victim mindset of, why has this happened? This needs to change. But essentially, when I put it into perspective and I actually say to myself, I'm so lucky that I had such a great dad in my life for 18 years. I'm so lucky that he was there, he helped me, he taught me a lot of what I know, and I'm so lucky that him and my mum were such a close unit, and they were great parents, and I learnt from that. And essentially, when you put things into perspective, it leads on to more gratitude and feeling grateful for what we've actually got. When we are in that negative mindset, we're thinking that we lack a lot of stuff that we need. And perspective and gratitude, those two things help me massively. Because perspective, when I put it into the bigger picture, there's so much out there that's a lot worse. and it can be a lot worse. And I have to put things into perspective when things get tough and realize, actually, I'm really, really lucky to have the life that I have. It's so hard to do and it takes time. It's not an overnight fix, but perspective and gratitude are the two things that help me. Have you heard of many success stories of being an inpatient? I'm currently an inpatient and have been for 10 months, but I feel that it's the best thing for me in the last 5 months. The progress made is beyond believable. Yeah, I'm wondering if everyone's situation is the same, as some places haven't been as helpful as the last 2 units I was in. That was from Ness. Again, it's hard for me to answer from a qualified background, but I would say that for me, the experience that my dad had in the mental health unit didn't help him. It wasn't the right environment for him. It was a very negative environment. It was a very medicated environment. For him, he probably needed something completely different. But at the same time, yeah, there's been so many success stories. I've heard of so many success stories that have gone to a mental health unit or a psychiatric unit and really, really got some really good help and received the right help. For my dad, I think it was just too late. I think, I don't know, maybe not, but I don't know whether he was just too far gone to get the help at the time that he went to the mental health unit. Hi Paul, how do we calm the inner critic voice to be kinder to ourselves? No problems with anyone else. The inner critic, that voice that tells you that you're worthless, that voice that tells you that you're not good enough, that voice that criticizes everything that you do has been put there by someone else. I truly believe that. It's as simple as that. That inner critic isn't your voice. That inner critic has been put there by someone else, whether it be parents, whether it be teachers, whether it be someone at work, whether it be an old relationship, whether it be your current relationship. That inner critic, that inner voice has been put there by someone else. And we need to detach from that. You are completely in control of that inner voice if you can take control of it. And I think that's such a big shift that I had, is I understood that that inner critic was put there by someone else. It wasn't put there by me. Last question, I'm going to answer this one because I get this a lot. Do you look after yourself? Yes, I look after myself. I know it looks like I do a lot of videos and content, and I do. I've got it down to a system where I look busier than I actually am. I just want to point that out. I run my business still. I do this. Again, I'm not making any money from this mental health awareness. I'm creating a lot of content around it, and I just truly love doing it. And that used to sound really cheesy when people said that, but yeah, I still run the business. I still spend time with my family. I feel like I've got quite a nice balance now, and I don't think ever balance does exist. It's always going to change, but yeah, I feel like I am looking after myself, and sometimes I do look tired. That's just, again, genetics. I think I'm always going to have bags under my eyes, and it looks like I'm always trying to, I'm always on social media and I'm always saying, sharing videos and creating content, but I am looking after myself. And again, I will always put myself first, and we think that's a selfish attitude, but I will always put myself first. And because the way that I serve you, the way that I help you, is I have to help myself first. So yes, last question, I am looking after myself. If you enjoyed this video, I haven't even drunk my coffee. Coffee with Paul, and I haven't even drunk the coffee. Get it in. If you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments. If you want me to answer your question in the next video, again, leave it in the comments. Don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're watching this, just drop me some comments, and don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, do what you need to do. I truly appreciate it. And just lastly, remember, don't give up. What you're facing right now can change, and I truly believe that. So please, don't give up and enjoy coffee. See you soon.